was encouraged the other day by God to tell my story. And I've never told this story to outsiders, only those that know me. But God said it's time to tell my story, that it may help someone, and I hope that it does. But my story goes like this. My mother and father had 3 children. My sister is 7 years older than I am, and my brother is 5 years older than I am. And then came along me. And my father decided that he didn't want a 3rd child. And so he convinced my mom to have an abortion. And they were living in Cleveland, Ohio at the time. And when my mom decided to go ahead with it, my father made the appointment. And back then, doctors made house calls. And so the doctor and the nurse came to the house on whatever day it was. I don't know the date that this all took place, but I do know that it was in the beginning stages of her pregnancy, if I'm not, misunderstanding. And the doctor came in and they set up to perform the abortion. And when they proceeded to do the abortion, there was a knock at the door. And my father goes downstairs to the door and no one's there. So he goes back upstairs and the doctor and the nurse proceeds a second time. As previously happened, there was a knock at the door. And my father goes down the stairs and he looks around and he goes back upstairs and he said it must be children playing. He didn't understand why somebody would be knocking at the door and then not be there. So the doctor and the nurse performed. They went to perform the abortion the 3rd time. And on the 3rd time, there was no longer a knock. The door opened and it closed. And so my father goes downstairs and he didn't see anyone. So he goes back upstairs, and by this time, the doctor and nurse was terrified. So they packed their things up and they left. Now, let me explain to you about the house. Back then, they had row houses. And in the row houses, the door was down, was just down immediately in front of the stairs. There's no room to go anywhere. So it's not like there's another part of the house, for someone to go and hide in. It was the door, the stairs, and then up to the house. And so after that happened, my father and mother, on the day of my delivery, my father was nowhere to be found. And my mom had to call his cousin to take her to the hospital. He didn't show up throughout her stay at the hospital. And after she brought me home, there was chaos. It was always chaos and drama. And so after a year and a half, he decided he wanted a divorce. And my mom didn't like it. My mom loved my father. She loved him more than anyone will ever know, than my father will ever know. And as I was growing up, things would always seem to happen around my birthday. And she used to always go around and say, I wish you were never born. You made my life miserable. You're the reason why my husband left me. All along that in public, everybody else thought she was just this wonderful person. Oh, they loved her, but things were different with me. As a child growing up, there was things that I was a part of in school. She never attended to any of my functions. She never took me I had an awards banquet to go to one time, and she didn't take me. Not that she couldn't, she didn't. And so her younger sister took me. And it was just, I just felt some type of way my whole life. And I don't have a relationship with my sister or brother. And But God never intended for me to. But as a child, you don't understand that. You don't know that. Now, I'm good, with not being around my father or my sister and brother. My mother has since passed. And, but it was just hard growing up. But people on the outside didn't understand. But I was always there for her. I was always there for the family, and yet they mistreated me my whole life. And and I believe that when your family members mistreat you, I believe that old spirit attacks to other family members, family members and friends and neighbors, because no one really treated me the way I thought that they should have treated me or as a child. But you know what? Here I am. I'm happy. I'm healthy, and I'm wise. But I'm telling this story because I know that there are some other people out there that may have had a life similar to mine growing up, but they never understood why the parents didn't treat them the way they treated the other siblings. I used to always go around and say, y'all treat me like a redhead stepchild. No offense to redheads, but it just wasn't comfortable. And God says, but he never intended for it to be comfortable. God said he created me to stand out, not fit in, because I never felt like I fit in. Even the school projects and classmates, never been able to hold on to a friend or, companionship for a long time. So I just felt rejected. I felt rejected my whole life. So after I grew up, I had boyfriends and they didn't stick and stay. I got married. He didn't stick and stay. And so you know what? I just decided that I'm going to live for the man who wanted me, who created me. God says that he put purpose in me. And nobody on this earth can do my purpose like I can do my purpose. So I had to be here. The devil couldn't stop me. He couldn't keep me. And do you know that my entire life has always been in constant danger? It's been one thing after another. I have many stories. And maybe God will allow me to tell those stories. But right now, I want you to hold your head up, stick your chest out, and walk around knowing that you're wonderfully, fearfully made in God's image, and that God had a thing for you to do, and nothing and nobody is going to stop you from doing the thing that God had called and created you to do. So don't worry that you don't have close friends. Don't even worry if your family is not close to you. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not to thy own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge God, and he will direct your path. Thank you.